Yeah, it's not on, is it?
Yeah, it is.
I might be careful what I say here. My trip sort of with and through dementia, and how I live now better with dementia. I say planning to, as I have these notes, but just to confuse the matter, I was never, throughout my life, very good at following structure. I prefer to ad lib because it just seems more honest and open at the time, so we'll see how it goes. And I also want to say that I have a mixture of vascular dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Now it's the vascular mostly that seems to upset my life. Now I'm not trying to be particularly funny here, but the Alzheimer's I tend to forget. I've had enough years now of coping strategies that the Alzheimer's doesn't seem to me to be that much of a problem. But the vascular is a very different beast altogether, and can cause some rather random and very sizable challenges on a daily basis. The most disturbing for me being uncontrollable emotions. Now I've made that clear, just a quick sort of warning that because one of the aspects of vascular dementia is that you get what they termed an ever-lowering social filtering system, which does mean that you can be a bit prone to say something. You don't think about it properly, you just say it. So I'd like to warn, if I sort of am here talking and I think that you're talking when I should be, I might just say, shut up. I won't mean it, but then I might. You won't actually know. So be aware. My background, as you can probably tell by the phone and the tablet and that, my background was in the IT industry. And I did that for some pretty high-powered jobs in some, what they call blue chip companies for about 20 years. But I got fed up with computers. I wanted more and more people contact. I actually like people, I think. So I moved and tried sales for a while. It was still within the IT industry, and again with some pretty sort of leading edge IT companies. But I became very, very disgruntled with the IT industry as time went on and wanted more and more people contact. One of the opportunities it gave me in the sales was training, and I found I had this natural flair for people and teaching and training. So I moved into teaching, where I finally found my true sort of love and vocation. So I used my IT knowledge and quite good business skills, I think, and quickly moved up the educational ladder. I was lecturing at degree level in IT and business, so I think I knew my stuff, or I was good at bluffing. I made ICT department head and business centre resources manager, and that led to a highly successful but very draining couple of years from 2002. Those 2 years, sort of burning the candle at both ends and in the middle, brought about some traumatic times, I suppose, from 2004 onwards for about 5 years. I had huge stress, high blood pressure, an almost fatal heart attack, underactive thyroid. I lost a very close friend on the operating table undergoing bypass surgery. I was there for the death of my mum, who had been drifting away with Alzheimer's. And I was there trying to stop the death of my son, who had a heart attack. I also watched as a close father-in-law died with liver failure. Bit of a time, really. But then things kind of got better because people stopped dying around me, and it was my turn. So I had panic attacks, which led to 15 months in therapy, in and out of work as I underwent personality and character changes, plus the odd few memory problems thrown in just for a bit of entertainment value. These all meant rather big changes to my lifestyle, and my fun with teaching had to stop. My brain just refused to be doing what I thought I was telling it to do. And in front of a class of normally unforgiving teenagers, that can be a bit of a daunting situation. But it also led to some quite good jokers where they'd turn up and say, "Sorry sir, I didn't do my homework, but I thought you'd forget." So I just had to start taking less and less duties at lower and lower responsibility levels, until eventually I couldn't safely or clearly function in the classroom anymore, so the teaching had to stop. And I went back to the boring computers and some self-employed contract work, but even that started being problematic, and my coping strategies were failing. Work life and home life and family slowly crumbled around me, under me, or because of me, as the strategies lost their power and I lost my way, figuratively and literally. I had loved travel, fishing, camping, walking and cycling when I could find the time for those in 18-hour days. But again, that sort of fun stuff had to stop when my driving became so dangerous, so I chose to stop driving. This decision also meant big changes, as I could no longer get to the places that I used to enjoy going to. So there I was in this stressful situation, not able to go camping and fishing anymore. So my relaxation outlets were out of the window, just when I needed them most. That list of activities has slowly reduced, and now one of the most recent ones is that I've had to stop cycling as well, because the last kind of event or episode I had has made me so unsafe around roads that even walking is now a problem for the people around me. I just march off. So cycling is completely out of the question. Now, almost certainly the vascular damage was caused by the heart attack, but it's only been over the last 7 years that changes have really become noticeable. So for a long, long time, I just blindly and merrily ploughed on. Things got worse, causing disagreements and problems at home and at work, so I took it a bit more seriously, got tested. However, the tests are very, very simple, very, very simple, far too simple, and you pass them rather easily. So it was hidden, and it was a long, long time, up until May last year, before finally things were falling apart enough that it was taken seriously, and I went into in-depth testing and scans and fluids here and there while I sort out what it is that's wrong with you. A 3-hour chat with I thought it was a psychiatric nurse. I'm not actually sure exactly who it was, but somebody that was interested enough to listen to me for 3 hours. And then eventually in January of this year, I was told by again, I figure psychiatrist, but it may not have been, and the care coordinator, sorry about this, but you've got a mixture of Alzheimer's and vascular dementia. Tell you what, here's some literature, here's some meds, clear off, we'll see you in a year. He's like, oh, hang on, yeah, all right, fine, thanks very much. And for a little while, things seemed to be, to me, well, that's good, at least now I've got a reason for it, I've got a kind of understanding. So for a couple of weeks, I was sort of all right with it, but it slowly was nibbling away and thinking, oh, no, this isn't quite as good as I thought. This is, the more I found out about it, the worse it seemed to get. So I then had a roller coaster time, went into some bad lows and some dark places, and kicked a few trees in anger and frustration during that time. So sorry to the trees, I do actually love you. But again, I came through it by deciding to get on and find a new life. This was not easy under the circumstances, as I'd only been in the Medway area for less than a year, so making a whole new life was a massive change with or without dementia. But coming to Medway, coupled with my get out there and make it happen nature, has paid off big time. And I now have a fantastic network of friends, supporters, watchers. I don't go with the idea of carers, they're watchers. People keep an eye on me. And all the various things that I get offered to do. I busied myself by being very proactive and finding help and support rather than just waiting to see what was going to be offered. I found things to do, places to go, and have since then filled my time with council health walks about 4 times a week. I was on one this morning, which is one a bit muddy, so sorry about that. I attend therapy groups, social groups, support groups, dementia cafes. I give and get online advice and support via the Talking Point forums, this sort of thing. I love being involved with speaking and training, get involved in research projects and the odd, sometimes very odd, trips to doctors and hospitals, battles with Tesco's and Aldi's, but mostly just having fun adventures which I produce an online blog about. And the blog, which has been going since February, has been very well received around the world by people with dementia, their carers, healthcare professionals and friends, in now 104 different countries, which is at the moment picking up over 40 new readers every day. And I hope it's because they love my open and honest and off-the-wall kind of approach and my irreverent attitude towards dementia, but I don't really know. But several people have said that it's because of my seeming love of life and the fact that I hang on to the pluses that I've got rather than concentrating on what's gone. I think my working life in IT has sort of helped, as I'm very comfortable and capable with technology, so laptop, tablet, smartphone, and they're full of apps with maps, timetables, reminders, notes, audio recorder, phone call recorder, photos, a tracker, a get me home now button, and my companion bus pass, and all these things mean I don't so much live well with dementia. I feel it's more like I now live better with dementia. And I'm finding that the hardest thing is just finding new coping strategies. And that always seems to be the way, because you're on a very individual journey. It's hard to talk with other people and say, well, how do you get past this? Because everybody's on an individual journey, so it doesn't always make sense. But I do move on. I don't particularly support the phrase about a person living with dementia, because, as I so often say to people, and I say it often because I've forgotten I've told them before, that I don't so much live with it. If I did, I would move on. I'd divorce it. I'd evict it or whatever. But I have it, and I try to live. I try to learn how to get along with it. I'm very lucky in that I'm still able to communicate well enough via written words and pictures and sometimes scary audio files. Many of the thoughts and feelings that other people living with dementia are no longer able to express by any means, or maybe it's because they're not as in your face as I am, and so they don't get out there and say these things. But I believe that by the feedback I get from the blog, I do believe that the blog does bring about a different attitude to a lot of people out there. There was one particular comment I got one time from a lady living with dementia, and she actually said she'd woken up that day, was in a really, really bad place. Her Alzheimer's was giving her a bad time. Somehow or other she decided to read through the blog, and it changed her whole day. She felt that if I could be positive about what was going on and what I'd written about in the blog, she was just having a bit of an off day. She should be positive, and it in the blog is to highlight the many things that give me troubles, big and small, as I travel along the dementia highway, and these things that make living with dementia more difficult than it needs to be. And when I was preparing for this delivery, I looked back over the blog to try and find out what sort of things I feel are troubles, what sort of things do I feel are dementia friendly or not dementia friendly, and I don't want to go into the details of those, but I'd like to say to everyone, please start bearing in mind that the rule book in all walks of life are written for the usual, the commonplace, the average, and we no longer live in that world, or maybe I should say we no longer fit in that world. What is obvious to the majority is not to us. What is clear as day to the many is not to us. What always happens does not to us. Almost any assumption based upon the way things have always been in the past will undoubtedly be a wrong assumption when it's applied to us, the ever-growing population of people with dementia. Clear as day is clear as mud. Always is sometimes. Bridingly bright white is invisible, and use caution means don't do it. Things are not always obvious, and what works today will probably not work tomorrow. Yes, it's a pain and a problem. Do I expect the world to change to fit me? No. Just give me help, time, understanding. Don't get angry or frustrated or start talking louder at me. That just worsens the situation. If you cannot think of how to resolve a situation, have the patience to ask, and we will probably find a great solution together. I'm still me, I'm still capable. I just need help to find other ways to thrive in what is now a different looking and very difficult world for me. Thank you.